Hey everyone, I recently got accepted into Sheridan's animation program with a 98%, which I still cannot believe. And I wanted to make a video going through my portfolio. I hope this video can help anyone applying in the future, as personally these portfolio videos helped me a lot when creating my portfolio. Alright, without further ado, let's move on to the portfolio. I'll start by showing you guys my score sheet. This year's domestic cutoff was 87% and the international cutoff was 93%. This was my second time applying. The previous year I got rejected with an 88%, which was pretty painful to say the least. But I continued to work on my portfolio after my rejection and got a 98 this year. I'm pretty happy with my improvements this year as I basically scored perfect on everything but my storyboard. The first section is figure drawing. Figure drawing is probably one of the sections I've spent the most time on overall. I started practicing way before my first application in preparation for the portfolio, and I gotta say, figure drawing is not easy. There's so much to get used to and understand when drawing figures. So definitely start as early as you can and practice every day. This skill does not come overnight. Anyways, these are my 5 to 20 minute figures, and what I tried to focus on for these figures is structure and anatomy. Sheridan definitely likes to see your ability to accurately draw the human body, so this is where you show off your understanding of anatomy. They also don't really like shading, which is a mistake I made on my first application where I added too much shading, so definitely make sure to focus on line quality instead of that. These are my 1 to 3 minute figures. Here I wanted to emphasize gesture and flow in my figures. Sheridan really likes to see dynamic drawings in these shorter duration poses, so definitely emphasize making the figure as gestural as you can here, as they do not want to see stiffness in these short poses. And I know the time limit may be daunting, but with practice and learning shorthands for different parts of the bodies, like for hands and feet, you can definitely finish figures in this short amount of time. Don't try to overcomplicate your drawings for these short poses. Alright, the next section is hand drawings. I personally didn't really find this section too hard, but definitely practicing every day helps with drawing hands. For Sheridan's portfolio, we had to draw hands in 2 poses, one in anticipation of throwing an object, and one pose throwing the object onto a surface. As you can see in these 2 drawings, they piece together as somewhat of an animation, or keyframes of an animation. Sheridan also wants you to draw the structure of the hands to show your understanding of the forms of the hand, so make sure to do that. And here's the character rotation section. This section I by far have the most attempts on. I can't even count how many times I've scratched an idea and restarted until I landed on a character that was actually interesting. I landed on this design of a witch cat, which actually has some pretty interesting shapes. Some basic shapes making up the character are the head being a spear, the torso also being a spear, and the skirt just being a big half spear. Every part of this character is easily dividable into a simple shape, which helped make the character rotate somewhat easily. Definitely focus on big shapes of your character when you're working on this section, as it will save your life when rotating the character. This section is a short animation section where we had 24 to 48 frames to animate a walkie-talkie model provided to us. This section was honestly so much fun to do, and I loved experimenting with different ideas for the movements in the animation. A few tips I could give for this section are to heavily focus on showing the 12 principles of animation. This section lets props know your understanding of the fundamental principles, such as squash and stretch, timing, or anticipation. Also, staying on model is very important for this section, so you should definitely look at the model sheet constantly while animating. Next up is the storyboard section, and man, was this year's prompt hard to work with. This year's prompt was opportunities don't just happen, you create them. I could not for the life of me come up with an idea until eventually I came up with an idea of the fox character provided running an apple stand and encountering a customer, which is the bear, which would be the opportunity part of the prompt, with the bear being a potential customer and Fox seeing that the bear isn't interested in her apple stand. She decides to give him a free sample, which changes the bear's mind into buying more apples. The fox convincing the bear with the apple would be the you create them part of the prompt. I think I lost marks on this section because my story was pretty boring and camera angles could be a little more interesting. I would have definitely revised my 3rd and 4th panel to be a little more interesting in terms of shots and angles. However, 18 out of 20 is still a really high mark, so I'm pretty happy with my mark here. And here's my favorite part of my portfolio, the layout drawings. I'm genuinely so proud of these layout drawings. This is my interior layout, and funnily enough, I didn't have an interior layout that I really liked until I started from scratch a week before the deadline and drew this layout, which I'm actually pretty proud of. I tried really hard to draw something interesting and unique for this layout, so I somehow ended up with the idea of a giant octopus ransacking a kitchen, which I found hilarious. Anyways, some tips I could give for this section is to make sure that your line weight is consistent throughout the drawing. Thicker lines for objects that are close up, and thinner and lighter lines with things that are far away. And here's my exterior layout, which I'm also pretty happy with. I wanted to go for something other than the layout in a forest, as all of my previous sketches were all situated in that setting, and went with something more special. I ended up drawing a treehouse on a cliff island, I guess you can call it. I wanted the island to be the central point of interest and have the foreground wrap around it, and also have it convey a sense of distance, which I think I did a decent job at. Either way, I'm so glad these got full marks because I spent countless hours reworking drawings and ideas for these two layouts. And here are my personals. There's not much to say here other than to make sure to include a variety of work and of your best work for the section to show off to the profs. This is your standout section where you can show your individuality as an artist out of thousands of other applicants that are applying. And also remember to start early on this section. This shouldn't be a section where you squeeze in random pieces of work that you can scavenge. Whereas it should be a clear and concise collection of work that you are genuinely proud of and that show off your skills. Anyways, here's all my personal work. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope that this video could be helpful for some of you that are planning to apply in the future. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments or contact me through my socials, at Cataloaf on Discord and at sandwich.lee on Instagram. I hope you all the best of luck and I'm so excited to meet everyone at Sheridan this year. Bye!